Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. This is a very unique reel in a bag or bags project. This one was sent in by Nick, and Nick is a reel collector. And he sent me re-chromed outer rings, cleaned and polished trim rings and the like. They're beautiful. He also sent me the side plates that have been as close to original as can be, if they're not new old stock, and a whole bunch of pieces and parts in bags so that I can build him essentially a Penn Senator that would look like it came right out of the plant. We have new bridges, we have all kinds of new replacement parts in terms of springs and side plate screws and bearings and the like, and we have a host of parts in a bag. So play along with me if you want to see how a red-sided high-speed 113 comes together and how it probably would have been manufactured in the plant. So if you haven't done one of these reels, then it's always good to go out and get the schematic for them. I'm fairly familiar with these reels, so we're going to kind of play it by ear, as many of you know, in terms of how I do this thing from time to time. And we'll see how far it gets us. So I think the first thing to do is kind of take a mental inventory for me here of the actual pieces and parts. This is the anti-reverse dog. I'm going to keep those with the new pieces. Here's a beautiful handle. I'm not sure if it's new or re-chromed, but it's beautiful. Here's our drag tensioner. This is the bearing for the side plate. Cross posts. And then he gave me cross post screws in another set. And some more internal pieces and parts there. So I'm going to get started by doing some of the frame pieces first. I'm going to do the outside frame for the bearing side plate before we do the other part. So I'm looking here, and it looks like I have a replacement bearing. And we'll staple together here. We can't get some of these off. Nick is pretty steadfast in knowing what he wants to do, so we're going to do that for him. He's a collector. We've seen some reels on his on my YouTube videos before. Okay, so all the pieces are out. We're going to look for that new bearing then. Here we go. This is the new side plate bearing, and there's a little rubber washer, a hold fast there, that goes on that bearing. So we'll just place those off to the side. And we'll get started on this. Nick also sent me a 155 Beachmaster that he's going to ask me to do the same. So we'll see what we do with that. Alright, this just hand screws in once you have that washer. We're good there. Let's go find that trim ring. We found a place to re-chrome these. I'm going to have to find out where that is. Looks like they've done a very nice job with it. Nick is in New York, so it's not that far away from me. Alright, we have a reel seat. Alright, these are the two internals for the set. This would be the gear side because it has the hump. This would be the non-gear side. And then it's just a matter of lining up the holes with this would be that side. Okay, so now I just want to grab the little lug bolt here for the harness, and we can press the chrome ring into the side plate. Nice tight fit on it. Then I want to find the external. The external does not have the cutout in the rim. This will be an internal one. It has the cutout for that harness. I'm going to take that's the other side plate. We'll put that over there for a moment. Let's go ahead and line these up then. And we'll do the same thing. We're going to press them on. And then I'm going to go to Nick's parts bag here because I believe he gave me new side plate screws as well. There are different lengths to the side plate screws. Just need to know which ones you're looking for. This is where a parts diagram probably would be helpful, but I believe these are the small ones for the rear seat, so that'll be next up then. I like to do this because it sets the tone for the base structure of the reel. There's no sense starting to put pieces and parts together and then have to wrestle around with the reel seat. I'm going to pick the point right in the middle here. That you can tell by the extension here that that's the proper screw for this side. And then we'll just get the first one started, and then the other two should be a little bit easier. And that's why I like to start with the stand. Over here we'll grab this side. Always a balancing act with the first one. Some folks like to put that crossbars on first as a way to balance the reel stand. I'm noticing as we're putting these in that the chrome plating that was done on the inside of the reel stand makes it a little bit difficult to turn. Just a little bit extra in the threads there. But we're okay. We're in. Alright, now next set then would be the screws for the back side of this. It says quantity 8, but this is just 5, so I'm not quite sure what happened there, but we'll find out. Again, keep the bags off to the side. And here I like to go to the top then, so that we can lock that first one in. Once we lock the first one in, we can have an easier time of it with the others. I like to thread as much by hand as I can. And then tighten down the balance. Working in no particular order. Interesting thing, I always like to think about this stuff. So this reel was probably made in the 70s in a plant in Philadelphia. It's made in the USA. And how this had to be assembled by hand. There's no machine way to do this. It's all tightening, had to be done by hand. And I guess with this one I could pretend I'm back in that day because this is how they would have done it. Whether they would have built it this way or had a different way to do it, I'm not sure, but they certainly would have had to do it by hand. That last one is spinning a little bit. We'll take care of that with the we put the other side on. Just trying to be a little careful here. You don't want to nick up nice new chrome. And then just the last one. So we've already put the bearing in there. We haven't oiled it. We'll take care of that when we get this last post on here. Probably should have been the first one I put on because it's a little difficult for me to grab that. but we're getting there. Okay, and then bearings I oil. So we'll put a drop of oil in there. I'm going to use, we'll stay true to the brand. I'll use Penn Precision Real Oil for that bearing. Here's a nice drink. Got a nice shiny chrome spool here. It's been re-chromed. There's a little bit of oxygenation. That's easy for me to say. It's been oxidized. Alright, we'll just grab a little bit of grease just on the little stud that's going to go inside that bearing. And we can seat that in here. And we can just put that off to the side for a moment. What I'll do here is I'm going to take these and just put them on, but we're not going to do anything more at the moment, but I'm going to need that on there as I go to install the eccentric. I don't need it on the back here, but I will put it on the back. Actually, I can't put it on the back because when I go to install the bridge, I need the bridge out. Nick has asked me to hang on to the other pieces and parts, so we're going to put them into the baggie here. We'll make sure to get the other pieces out. Okay, here's the internal structure for the reel, so let's come over to that then. I'm going to just put those pieces and parts into my tray. First up then is the eccentric that has a spring on it. And a lot of people ask me about how to set eccentric springs, so we'll show you. Since this is a new install, we should put a little bit of grease onto the little stud that's going to ride inside the side plate. That also will help a little bit with the holding of that screw or spring rather. There's a little notch here on the side plate. That's where that sits. And then you roll this in. And then the easiest thing to do most of the time here is to grab that lever and use that to rotate your eccentric. You got to find the break-even point here. That's where there's a balance on that spring. Once you hold that, now you can put your side plate lever on by turning this around. And now you can put your three-plate screw on. Now this is a 10 millimeter, I believe. 8 or 10, I don't remember which. I just know that I use it so much, I keep it on a little old-time ratchet wrench. We'll just tighten that down. And I'll tell you what it is. It's actually 11/32. There you go. And then you can see how it operates once you do that. Remember, just to get that balance, that's the easiest way to do this. Alright, a little bit of grease onto the face of that so that when it moves the jack, it's going to work okay. Looking for 2 springs next. Looking for the internal bearing now. So somewhere in this pile of pieces would be the bearing. That would be this. It sits in a little carrier. If you're wondering how they come, that's how they work. You want to get that inside the carrier. You want to put a little bit of grease on there, or oil rather. Then you want to seat that bearing in here. It gets pressed into the case like that. You have a brand new spool or pinion gear, so you don't have to do anything with that in terms of checking the teeth. Of course, we're just assuming that they're all going to be straight and new, and that's exactly what they are. Let's go ahead and clean that one up. Get it sufficiently greased that it'll operate smoothly. We're looking for the yoke now. Want to get some onto the face of the yoke where that gear is going to be spinning, and also inside there where it's going to ride in the groove. The side with the groove in it here faces out. And then our jack, we press down, come over the top. Best to do that in the off position. And that's that. So we're going to just pause for a moment here, take a break, and I'll be right back. We'll do the next part of this. Okay, it's time to do the bridge assembly then. It's always good if you like, take a little break in between all of that. There's no real rush to get these things done. I just tried to find the 2 bridge screws, the main bridge, and the anti-reverse dog, which is the next set that is up here. And these have the washers that come from inside. These can be serviced without taking the main gear off. The gear sleeve comes pre-lubed, so I don't need to do anything there. You want to follow the way that these come off in the assembly. And these have the old style asbestos drag washers, so you don't even need to do anything there. This is just ready to install. We'll show you how to do that then. You just simply take your main gear, you grease it because you don't want any issues. Again, if this was a servicing as opposed to a kind of a fresh build, you would certainly want to check the teeth and make sure that they're okay, that they're not shattered or anything, bent, worn, uneven. They all take their toll. Okay, that can go on the bridge post. We have the large washer, followed by the metal washer, followed by a large washer. I believe these washers are asbestos. I can't say with certainty, but I believe that's what it is. These 2 come next. And a little cap washer goes in here as well. I believe that cap washer is the one that belongs underneath here. So let's get that done right. And that's probably where if you had your doubts, you can go and these 2 come off as well because these are the tension washers. So the next one up then is the big button as such, and then these 2 are your tension washers on the outside for your star adjuster. Okay, you want to find my anti-reverse dog and spring, the 2 top screws, the 2 bottom screws. And now we can do the install of the bridge. I'm going to press in on the yoke, insert the bridge assembly, rotate until this is perpendicular, have a fully threaded screw come through the side here, lower corner, like that. And then I just realized I didn't take this piece out, and I've got a need for an additional hand here, so let's see if we can't get that out. Spring and dog. Watch the spring, that's always the one that you're afraid of. There we go. Alright. Dog goes up, creates the notch in the side plate. Spring goes in. Be careful, it's a spring, it will shoot. That's the proper loading of the spring. Rotate the bridge until you are over that screw. Come back on the other side then. Start the screw, but don't tighten it down completely. Alright, and then come up and grab your other one. The partially threaded screws go up top. That's where the spring rides. fully threaded screws are on the bottom, bottom being this is the way the reel's going to sit. One more, and I haven't tightened any of them down yet. I just want to make sure that they all get seated first. Now I'll tighten them down, going east, west, north, south. And we can put those two bell washers on there. Those are going to provide flexibility and tension to the star adjuster. And at this point, I wouldn't normally do this, but in this one I do. I want to put the star adjuster on to hold this assembly in, because that opening there, you can have all of your drag washers fall out. Two sides to this. One has a stamped mark on it that tells you that's the inside. And then just get this started. Okay, we'll come back to that. Alright, now we want to take the inside chrome ring and the other harness lug. Place that in here. It's a rather tight fit. But it's a fit. Look for the indentation in the back here. Find the slot, that's where it's going to ride over the harness. And just, again, press your plate in. Make sure it's seated nicely. And then there's one place you can't lube when you're putting the assembly together yet, and that's the top of the jack here, so make sure that you get lube on that so that as that slides behind the bridge that it's lubed. And take that now, and I'm going to place that on top of your spool. I'm going to get a little bit of grease onto the spool shaft here. It's going to ride inside that spool gear or pinion gear. I'm going to load that in, rotate it to the proper position, and I'm going to open my case for the side plate screws here. And I think we got a problem here, not a major one, but we have a problem here in that that bag that said 8 only had the 5 in it, and you need 8. You need the 8, so I'll check in a little bit, but those act as the that little lug there, for whatever reason, is just having a little bit of difficulty setting that lug in here. Okay, looks like we got it this time. I'm going to put a screw in there just to hold that. I don't generally like to start with that one because it's got a couple of different moving parts, but maybe we'll start on that one just to hold it. I'll just give that a partial tightening there as we go to set the other pieces. I generally don't like to tighten any of or all of the side plate screws down until I have them all set. And those screws that look like they would be missing, I have one for the bottom of the reel, but I don't have any more. So I have to go back and get the, I'll check the bags one more time when we're done here. It looks like we're short one. Okay. And again, I'm not tightening all of these down, I'm leaving these kind of just a quarter of a turn or so from the finish until I get them all set. Just until you feel them tightening. There's one hiding back here. And then I just have the one for the bottom. So we're short. That one belongs over here. The crossbar screws are longer than the reel seat screws. Unfortunately, the pieces that I'm missing are external parts, not internal parts. So for the most part, the reel can be completed, and I don't have to open anything up to go back and put the other piece into play. And I'll just pick the center hole for this one. Alright, now we can tighten everything down. I should tighten this side down. I left these off a little bit too. And then we'll just put the handle on, make sure it cranks nicely. So it's time to finish the outside then. I've put all of the screws in, but I'm short 2 screws. We'll take care of that. When I initially put this on to hold the assembly in place, I put 2 washers on. That's not correct. It's only 1 below and 1 on top. So let's go ahead and put the star adjuster on then. And then Nick gave me a brandy new one here. That's next. And our handle goes on. Tie this down. And once you snug that up, you can adjust your drag washer so that it doesn't get stuck when you're tightening down your set screw here, or your handle screw. Okay, now we can load our tie-down nut. So at this point, I'd like to thank all of our first responders who are working every day in and out, trying to keep us safe and help us recover from this coronavirus. I do appreciate all of your efforts and everything you do on a daily basis. And without you, I know we would be in a lot worse condition than we are. And your efforts are truly appreciated. So thank you for all it is that you do. Okay, we're going to test this now. Nothing to expect other than a beautiful reel. Make sure that the drags are working and then back them off. You don't want to press those if you don't have to. And let's put it in spin mode. And of course, we have brand new bearings, so it's going to spin beautifully. So Nick will go get those other 2 screws for you. In the meantime, though, you've got a beautiful reel here. And I just thank you for letting everybody share with it how to rebuild these reels. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. If you want to see more of these, please subscribe. And if you have a reel that you need repaired, but you're not up to doing the repair yourself, well then contact me by the information on the business card, and I'll be happy to give you the information on the repair services. So this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Thank you for watching.